I'm Kimberly. Standing on the stage of the Crown Regency Annual Charity Gala, I'm bathed in the spotlight. The applause fills the air, and I can see my mother, father, and sister in the front row. Their expressions are a mix of shock and discomfort. It's a moment I've waited for, a moment when the truth finally shines through. My family has always been a prominent one in Boston. My father, Henry Miller, is the CEO of a large investment firm, and he's always measured success by money and status. My mother, Victoria Miller, is the president of the Victoria Arts Foundation, a well-known charity organization. They've always been obsessed with maintaining a perfect image. My older sister, Amelia, is a high-profile lawyer at a top law firm. She's the golden child, the one they brag about at every social event. I, on the other hand, worked as a hostess at La Bella Ristorante, an Italian fine dining restaurant on the outskirts of the city. Despite having a degree in hospitality management from a prestigious university, they saw me as nothing more than a waitress. One Thanksgiving, before the meal even started, my mother looked at me with disdain and said, "Still working at that little restaurant? When are you going to get a real job?" My father just continued reading his newspaper, and Amelia laughed it off. I forced a smile, used to their constant put-downs. At La Bella Ristorante, I found a place where I was valued. The manager, Marco, always said I had a unique ability to understand customers. One night, a big problem occurred. Giovanni Rossi, the CEO of a major international food company, had a reservation, but due to a mistake, there was no table for him. He was furious and ready to leave. While others panicked, I stepped forward. I bowed respectfully and apologized in fluent Italian. I offered him our best private room and personally designed a special menu based on his family's traditional recipes. By the end of the meal, he was smiling and shook my hand, saying, "You have true hospitality in your heart." The next week, La Bella Ristorante signed a huge catering contract with his company. Marco was overjoyed, but when I told my family about it, my mother just said, "Lucky you. But it's just a small thing." My father barely looked up from his phone, and Amelia rolled her eyes. Then, I received an email from Alexander Blackwood, the CEO of Royal Grand Hotels, a global luxury hotel chain. The subject was, "Regarding your exceptional service at La Bella Ristorante." His message was short but impactful. "I believe your talents are wasted. Would you be interested in discussing your future with us?" I was in shock. For the first time in a long time, someone saw my potential. But my family still didn't change their attitude. Invitations to my mother's foundation events never came my way. When I asked, she said, "Our guests expect a certain level of sophistication. You wouldn't fit in." Family photos started to exclude me, and Amelia would say, "It's all about branding, Kimberly. You don't contribute enough." I was at my breaking point. One day, my mother texted me, "I need you to help at the foundation gala. Wear your restaurant uniform. It'll make us look more approachable." I'd had enough. I replied, "Sorry, Mom. I can't." She was furious, sending a barrage of angry messages, but I ignored them all. Around that time, I decided to take a chance and replied to Alexander's email. We met, and he offered me a senior executive position at Royal Grand Hotels. It was a dream come true, a chance to prove myself. Then came my 30th birthday. My family invited me to a fancy restaurant. When I arrived, Amelia was filming for social media, saying, "Family dinner for Mom's favorite." Everyone laughed, except me. After some small talk, my mother slid an envelope across the table and said, "From all of us." Inside was a letter disowning me from the Miller family. They thought they could erase me, but little did they know I was on the verge of a new beginning. I left the restaurant calmly, not showing the pain inside. That night, I sat in my apartment, looking at the letter and Alexander's email side by side. One was an attempt to destroy me, and the other was a door to a new life. I started my new job at Royal Grand Hotels. It was tough at first. People were skeptical of me, a former restaurant hostess taking on a high-level position. But I worked hard. One day, a VIP guest from Saudi Arabia arrived early, and his room wasn't ready. He was extremely angry. I stepped in, apologized sincerely, and arranged for him to have a private lounge with refreshments. I also upgraded his room and had a special dessert prepared. He was very satisfied, and Alexander was impressed. After a few months, my hard work paid off. I turned the customer experience department around, and the board wanted to feature me in a leadership article. The article was published, and it went viral. Suddenly, my family started calling. They sent me flowers and texts saying they were proud of me. But I knew it was just for show. Then, I was put in charge of the Royal Grand Annual Charity Gala. To my surprise, I found out that my mother, father, and sister were on the guest list. I decided to use this opportunity to let the truth be known. On the night of the gala, as I stood on the stage, I told my story. I talked about the years of being underestimated, the pain of being disowned, and how I found my strength. The room was silent at first, and then the applause started, growing louder and louder. My family sat there, their faces pale. The next morning, the news was all over the place. The Victoria Arts Foundation lost a lot of donors, and my family's reputation took a hit. But I didn't feel vengeful. I just felt free. A few days later, my family came to see me. They were broken, no longer the proud and perfect family they once were. My mother said she was sorry, but I knew it was too late. I gave them back the laminated letter, saying, "It doesn't hurt me anymore. It's just a reminder of how far I've come." Now, as I look out at the city from my penthouse balcony, I know that I've built my own life. I've learned that true success is not about what others think of you, but about believing in yourself and finding your own path.